It's no secret that the Judgement Day runs Monday Night Raw. Week in and week out, they've worked their way through the roster and have started to have some success. Rhea Ripley is the Women's World Champion, Dominik the NXT North American Champion, and Damian Priest is Señor Money in the Bank, and WWE Undisputed Tag Team Champion alongside Finn Balor. Despite fans wanting LA Knight to win the briefcase, WWE had something different in mind. Priest landed a broken arrow from the top of the ladder, and it seemed like one of the biggest upsets in recent memory. But what if I told you Damian winning the contract was the best move they could make at the time? Trust me, I wanted LA Knight to win as much as anybody, but after watching this video, I'm sure some of you might agree with me. Taking inspiration from Razor Ramon, he's had a pretty successful career as a singles competitor. It's easy to forget what he's accomplished given that he's been working on establishing the Judgement Day recently. He eliminated Kane from the Royal Rumble on his main roster debut and soon after won the United States title, beating names like Sheamus, Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles. It makes sense why WWE would put the briefcase on him based on that alone. It's also progressed the Judgement Day storyline by planting the seeds for their implosion after he cost Balor the World Heavyweight Championship, and there's been trouble in paradise ever since, with Damian fumbling the bag with the briefcase almost every week. In this video, we're going to take a look at the rise of Damian Priest from a newcomer to Señor Money in the Bank. We'll break down his success over the years, all the big matches he's been involved in, so make sure you stay tuned. Also, while you're here, let me know your thoughts on Damian on the comment section, and don't be a jabroni, take a second now to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future uploads. Damian was born on September 26, 1982 in New York, but raised in his motherland of Puerto Rico. Growing up, he watched a local promotion, World Wrestling Council, which inspired him to become a wrestler. He wasn't the only one in his family who took a liking to combat sports, because his dad was a martial arts master, teaching him Japanese Goju Ryu karate, so he was pretty tooled up from a young age, winning 2 national championships in martial arts. Despite his success, he still had an itch for the wrestling business and moved to the United States, but there was one issue: his first language was Spanish, so he went through a bit of an adjustment phase. Before he could break into the business, he had to learn the ropes, learning the tricks of the trade from the Monster Factory and the Ring of Honor dojo. His wrestling journey started in Ring of Honor. The year is 2015 and he's working under his real name, Luis Martinez. Initially, he was put in dark matches, losing to the Romantic Touch on his debut, but quickly turned the tables, teaming up with Shaheem Ali to beat Hellcat and Matic in his second match. After a brief hiatus, he made his way back with a new name, Punisher Martinez, taking part in the Ring of Honor Top Prospect Tournament, coming up short against Leo Rush in the semi-finals. Despite losing, he impressed Ring of Honor management and earned himself a contract with the company. He hit the ground running and established himself as a heel, teaming up with BJ Whitmer and Kevin Sullivan. During this time, he took part in the 2016 Honor Rumble, Survival of the Fittest, and took on the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions War Machine. In 2017, he took part in the Honor Rising Japan event, a collaboration between Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling, competing on both nights but coming up short against Hiroki Goto for the never openweight title. Changing his name to Damian Martinez, he competed in the Manhattan Mayhem Battle Royal for a shot at the Ring of Honor World Championship and a similar Battle Royal for the Ring of Honor World Television Championship, but couldn't produce the goods. It was a disappointing run, but he hit new heights in June 2018, winning his first championship in Ring of Honor, beating Silas Young for the World Television Championship, after earning the opportunity earlier that night by winning in a 6-way proving ground match. After having stock in the company, he successfully defended his title against Hangman Adam Page in a Baltimore street fight. His contract then came to an end after he turned down a renewal offer. In his final appearance for the company, he lost the television title to Jeff Cobb, marking the end of his journey with Ring of Honor, and he was on his way to the WWE. In October 2018, Damian put pen to paper and signed with the WWE, joining the NXT brand and debuting shortly after in December, losing to Riddle, which kept him off TV until the following April, when he was introduced with the video package image playing on the weeks before his return. When he finally came back into the fold, he picked up wins against Raul Mendoza and Keith Lee. He continued to dig his heels in and feuded with Pete Dunne and Killian Dane, which saw him in a match at NXT TakeOver War Games with a shot at the NXT Championship up for grabs. He wasn't quite ready yet and came up short, but his weekend wasn't over, representing Team NXT at Survivor Series the very next night and being eliminated by Randy Orton. Let's be honest, not many NXT guys get a chance with main roster players, and the fact that he was in the ring with someone like Randy is insane and spoke volumes about the plans WWE had for him in the future. As time went on, Priest set his sights on the NXT North American Championship, but he had two stumbling blocks, Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic. They'd go on to have a series of matches with Priest failing to deliver the goods. At this point, we'd already seen him go after gold and have a mainstream match at Survivor Series. Despite losing overall, it was a solid start and things seemed to only get better for him. On April 22nd, 2020, NXT opened the show with a backstage segment. Finn Balor was knocked out by an unknown attacker. He had no clue who it was, saying the culprit was after a push, and ironically, it was the catalyst for Priest's success in the WWE, because on May 13th, 2020's episode of NXT, Balor went up against Cameron Grimes. Both men were beating the holy hell out of each other and went to ringside when all of a sudden Damian came into the frame. Finn didn't take any chances, punching him square across the face, pissing the big man off, attacking Balor with a nightstick and costing him the match in the process. But he wasn't done, placing a steel chair in the ring and continuing the assault on Balor before revealing that he was the attacker. This set up a match at NXT TakeOver in your house, facing off against a former Universal Champion at such an early stage in his career must have been nerve-wracking, but he swam with the sharks and they remained equally matched in the ring. Priest couldn't beat Balor on the night, but it was a breakout performance, earning Triple H's seal of approval to be pushed in the months that followed. On the next episode of NXT, Priest met with Balor backstage and they shared a few kind words, turning him into a babyface. After his stock had risen in the company, it was time for him to make waves in NXT. He beat Oni Lorcan and Ridge Holland to earn a shot at the NXT North American Championship in a ladder match at NXT TakeOver 30. The match was absolute chaos and some decent spots throughout. Bronson Reed dived through the ropes to take out the Poor Souls by ringside, giving Grimes an opening to go for the title, but Damian met him in the ring to take him out. The ladder was set and he went to the high risk district, leaping off the ladder and straight into his opponents. He took a beating throughout the match after this, but he was in the right place at the right time. Gargano and Grimes were fighting at the top of the ladder, with the title swinging above them and hitting Cameron. Just when Johnny thought he had it in the bag, Priest grabbed him by the neck, and just like he did to LA Knight, the belt was unhooked and it became a tug of war, with Damian kicking him to throw him off balance and to win his first title in the WWE. The following week, William Regal set up a title match at NXT TakeOver 31 against Gargano. It was the first match on the card, so they had to deliver. It was a solid match with some decent technical wrestling. It was a textbook example of why they call Gargano Johnny Wrestling. Priest, on the other hand, showcased his versatility and how well he could move. He literally did a swanton over the top rope and into the security staff at ringside. A 6'6" guy has no business doing a spot like that. Eventually, he overpowered Gargano to win the match. The feud wasn't quite over yet, with a rematch coming at Halloween Havoc. They opened the show again in the Devil's Playground match, so anything goes. It was an ass-kicking contest. They took the fight all over the building. Towards the end of the match, Damian went for the reckoning, but was attacked by Ghostface, giving Gargano a chance to recover and smack him across the head with a tombstone, sending him flying off the stage to be on the receiving end of a pinfall, ending his NXT North American Championship reign at just 65 days. He wasn't happy about dropping the gold, so during Gargano's title defense, Priest came up behind him, throwing him off guard and costing him the title in the process. During Gargano's rematch, it looked like he had it in the bag, but Priest stepped in once again, pulling Ruff out of the ring and hitting him square across the head to make sure he retained. These shenanigans led to a triple threat match at NXT TakeOver War Games. Towards the end of the match, Priest threw Ruff out of the ring, but he was met with a super kick from Gargano, taking him out of the match, and just when he got the upper hand, Ghostface came back to haunt him. him. This time he wasn't alone. Damian took the ass kicking of a lifetime, but he managed to power through and cleared house. He turned his attention back to the ring, and just when he had it in the bag, Ghostface was there again, hitting him with a metal pipe, paving the way for Gargano to recapture the title, who walked up the ramp with his new masked buddy, who turned out to be Austin Theory. Nothing really came of this feud, and Damian was out for revenge. Interrupting Johnny's promo the following week on NXT, he asked Theory if he still had the metal pipe, because he was gonna shove it straight up his ass, and started marching towards the ring, only to be attacked by Karrion Kross, resulting in a match at New Year's Evil. Even though Priest gave it everything, Kross brutalized him to take the win. Despite the loss, it wasn't the end of the world. His recent misfortune worked in his favor, and the next time we'd see him would be on the main roster. At the 2021 Royal Rumble, Damian drew number 14, coming out strong with an impressive performance, removing 4 other competitors from the match, most notably Kane, before being eliminated by Bobby Lashley. It's not a bad way to make a first impression, right? Taking out the guy who has the most total eliminations in the history of the Rumble, then getting praised by him in a backstage segment right after, things could only get better from here. He was introduced to Monday Night Raw by Bad Bunny during a segment of Miz TV, which kickstarted a feud until WrestleMania Backlash. During this time, we saw him dominate his way through lesser talent on the roster and helped Bunny capture the 24/7 title. They also beat The Miz and John Morrison in a tag match at WrestleMania 37. At the Raw after Mania, his win streak came to an end, losing to his WrestleMania opponents in a handicap match thanks to an interference by Maurice. Despite losing, he laid waste to them for most of the match. He settled the score at WrestleMania Backlash against The Miz in a lumberjack match, then took some time away due to a back injury. After taking a couple of months out, Priest set his sights on the US title, making the save for Humberto Carrillo, who was taking a beating from Sheamus. This put them on a collision course for SummerSlam with the title on the line. The big man didn't disappoint us once again, going over the ropes and into Sheamus at ringside, and a spinning kick from the top rope. He shifted the balance after removing Sheamus's protective mask, then targeted his face, and eventually hit him with a reckoning to be crowned the new United States Champion. His title reign was a thing of dreams for someone who was fairly new to the main roster, leaving behind Sheamus and Drew McIntyre in a triple threat match with a textbook performance where he held his own and ultimately got the better of McIntyre to get the pinfall in a clean finish. After beating 2 former WWE champions, Drew checked out of the US title picture and in came Jeff Hardy. First they faced off on Raw with Priest retaining. Their feud then continued at Extreme Rules in a triple threat match, with Sheamus being added to the mix, which was a treat. It seems like any triple threat match Sheamus is put into, he just delivers. All 3 superstars left everything in the ring with some impressive spots. Sheamus was preoccupied by Hardy, which gave Priest the upper hand to finish him off with a roll-up pin to retain the title. His feud with Sheamus was settled in a rubber match on the next episode of Raw, with Priest coming out on top. Around this time, he adopted a more darker character and blurred the lines between a heel and a babyface, showing a more vicious side during his matches. At Survivor Series, he lost to Shinsuke Nakamura in a champion versus champion match, but bounced back, beating Sami Zayn, Apollo Crews, Bobby Roode, and Dolph Ziggler in the weeks that followed. He wasn't done though, because he beat AJ Styles, outsmarting him with a roll-up pin. You can't hide from the fact that he's beaten some serious main event players. AJ even acknowledged him after the match with a handshake. After a pretty successful title reign, he was set to face Finn Balor, who'd already beaten him in NXT, and after a hard-fought battle with some back-and-forth action, Priest was still no match for Balor, who came out on top to be crowned the new United States Champion. Following the match, he acted like a sore loser, hating on Balor, then clotheslined the crap out of him before brutalizing him with a razor's edge on the announce table. Here comes the most impressive part. His first main event roster title reign lasted 191 days, and he left behind so many household names. The foundations were laid for him to be a big player in the WWE, and things had only just begun, because he was destined for bigger and better things. On the second night of WrestleMania 38, Damian threw AJ Styles off guard when he was going for a phenomenal forearm, giving Edge a chance to recover and hit him with a spear to pick up the win. Priest then got onto one knee, aligning himself with the Judgement Day Day. The following night on Raw, he pledged his loyalty to Edge, leading to a series of matches where he would do Edge's dirty work while he watched on. As the weeks rolled on, they were joined by Rhea Ripley, beating AJ Styles, Finn Balor and Liv Morgan at Hell in a Cell in a 6-way mixed tag team match. The Judgement Day made an instant impact, putting the locker room on notice, but they weren't resonating with the audience and needed to change things up. On the next episode of Raw, Balor came out to align himself with the Judgement Day, and Priest explained how they needed to shed the last bit of limitations holding them back, which was Edge, sending him crashing to the mat, beating the holy hell out of the Hall of Famer, and sending him through the announce table with the razor's edge. It wasn't over yet, and Priest hit the final nail in the coffin by crushing his neck with a steel chair. The Judgement Day had a new leader in Finn Balor, and their designated muscle was Damian Priest. Over the next few weeks, Damian would dispatch Mysterio, AJ Styles, Matt Riddle, and Ziggler alongside his new teammates. The focus shifted to recruiting Dominik Mysterio leading up to Clash at the Castle, and after losing to Rey and Edge, this became a reality with the infamous kick to the balls. After beating Rey and Riddle in a tag team match on Raw, the Judgement Day shifted focus to the OC, beating them at Crown Jewel, then in an 8-person mixed tag team match to end their feud. After leaving a pile of bodies in their wake, the Judgement Day participated and won a tag team turmoil match to earn a shot at the Usos tag titles at Raw's 30th anniversary show. It's important to note that Jimmy was out of action due to injury, and Sami stepped in to help the Usos win and retain the tag titles. At the Royal Rumble, Priest entered at number 22 and lasted 4 minutes, being eliminated by Edge, so he decided to shift focus to the Elimination Chamber and took on Angelo Dawkins, beating him to be placed in the Elimination Chamber match for the United States title. Priest entered the match at number 4, taking control against both Gargano and Rollins, beating the holy hell out of them with Theory cheering him on. But Priest wasn't having any of it, kicking his teeth straight down his throat, then jumping over the top rope to take him out. Rollins tried to slow his momentum with a superplex and a Falcon Arrow, but only got a near fall. Eventually, Priest hit the razor's edge, eliminating Gargano, but his run came to an end when Rollins had him set up for a powerbomb, and Montez Ford hit him with a blockbuster to eliminate him from the match. Even though Damian wasn't featured on WrestleMania 39's card, it's safe to say he had no reason to be disappointed, because Backlash 2023 was in his homeland of Puerto Rico, and he was involved in a big way. After helping Rey Mysterio win at WrestleMania 39, Bad Bunny was at ringside for the Raw after Mania. Dominik came out to confront him, but he was on the receiving end of a right hook after talking trash. Damian watched on and wasn't impressed, and flung his fellow countryman into the ringside area, which was the start of a brutal ass kicking that saw Bunny clinging on to dear life after being chokeslammed through the announce table, keeping him off TV until the week before Backlash. He made his return on Raw to make the save for Mysterio after Priest flung a steel chair at him during their match, coming out with a kendo stick to do some serious damage, then announced he would be facing Priest in a San Juan street fight at Backlash. At the event, Bunny came out to the ring with a shopping cart full of weapons, giving a nod to ECW's New Jack. They both squared off in the ring, with Priest throwing him about, but Bunny fought back, sending him into the ringside area and hitting a crossbody. They took the fight to the crowd, going back and forth on a platform, with Priest landing a broken arrow to send Bunny crashing through a table. The match was absolute chaos, and Bunny put on a good fight. He's one of those guys who stepped into the business and taken it by storm. He has no business being as good as he is. Bunny was in the driver's seat, using all the weapons he could find to put Damian's legs out of commission, and just when you thought it was over, the Judgement Day came out to make the save, with Rey getting involved but being outnumbered. Then out of nowhere, Carlito's music hit, coming out to the ring to team up with Mysterio for a 619, then spitting on Dominik's face. It was a perfect moment for the Puerto Ricans in attendance, and to make it even more better, Savio Vega and the LWO even got involved. Back in the ring, Bunny locked in the figure 4, and finally the Bunny Destroyer to get the pinfall. After his loss, Priest took part in the World Heavyweight Championship tournament, losing to Rollins in the quarterfinals. Seth would then go on to win the title, and then Priest would fail to beat Rollins for the championship on the line soon after. Up until this point, he had a pretty solid singles run, but after joining the Judgement Day, he didn't accomplish much, apart from elevating the group to new heights. It was time for him to step into the spotlight, and his opportunity came with Money in the Bank around the corner. He beat Riddle to qualify for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. At the event, Escobar, Butch, and Ricochet pinned Priest in the corner with a ladder, taking turns to take him out. He had a pretty rough start to the match, with Logan Paul hitting him with a frog splash onto the ladder. Towards the end of the match, LA Knight and Butch prepared the ladder and climbed to the top, with both men trading blows, but eventually Knight was overpowered and went crashing to the mat, with Priest coming in to take Butch out of the match. Just when it looked like he was about to seal the deal, Knight recovered to throw him out of the ring, and then cleared the ring to create an opening for the briefcase. Priest eventually made a recovery to meet him at the top and land a broken arrow. There was nobody left, and he climbed to the top of the ladder to retrieve the briefcase and be crowned Señor Money in the Bank. After winning the briefcase, he wasted no time at all, coming out during the World Heavyweight title match against Balor and Rollins, throwing Balor off guard, and Seth retained. Things got tense between them after Priest cost him the title, but they managed to put water under the bridge. Importantly, Damian planted the seeds, hinting that if Balor won the title, he'd probably cash in on him. At SummerSlam, Rollins was going for the stomp, with Priest making his way down to the ring to set up the distraction. Seth kicked out of a roll-up pin and jumped over the ref to land on Damian's fist, allowing Balor to hit a pedigree for a near fall. Priest put the briefcase in the ring, persuading Balor to use it, leading to an argument, and Seth recovered, taking out Damian and hitting the stomp on Balor for another near fall. Priest had the big brain idea to go for some shenanigans, throwing the briefcase into the ring for Balor and going towards a ref to create a distraction. Finn went for it, but Rollins was miles ahead of him, leading to the stomp on the briefcase, with the referee's back turn to retain the title. And Finn looked out of place as the leader of the Judgement Day, who apparently run Monday Night Raw, but he doesn't have any gold around his waist. Ripley gave him an ultimatum, saying that if every member of the Judgement Day didn't have gold around their waist after Payback, then it was time for a change. Luckily for him, Balor and Priest captured the WWE Undisputed Tag titles after beating Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, thanks to an interference by the Judgement Day and JD McDonough. It's obvious Damian is going after the World Heavyweight Championship, and after winning the Money in the Bank contract, it's only a matter of time before he cashes in. Finn failed to capture the gold, and Nakamura took his spot in the title picture. It seems likely Damian is going to cash in sooner rather than later, and then a feud with Balor is just around the corner. It's just a matter of when. The Judgement Day is running Monday Night Raw and breaking up the faction when they just started to gain some momentum, with Rhea Ripley as the Women's World Champion, Dominik as the NXT North American Champion, and Damian as Señor Money in the Bank, or potentially the World Heavyweight Champion, and WWE Undisputed Tag Team Champion alongside Finn Balor. But it would be a pretty interesting move to have Finn feel some sort of jealousy towards his Judgement Day teammates and not turn out to be the leader that they all hoped. That would be a pretty solid foundation for a feud in the future. Taking a look back at Damian's run in the WWE, it hasn't been all that bad, and he's the product of natural growth. One thing's for sure, leaving LA Knight to one side, he's definitely earned the title of Señor Money in the Bank. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then smash the like button, and don't be a jabroni. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out, and so you can stay tuned for more wrestling content right here on Wrestling Real.